the characters in Snow White. It's been a while since I've made one of these Disney debunkings, but I felt as though this one was warranted, mostly because it was getting on my last nerves, which is essentially the inspiration behind every debunking video I've done so far. Guess my zodiac sign. After releasing the video where we ranked different versions of Snow White, I was overwhelmed by comments that were variations of, "OMG, did you know Snow White and her prince have like a 17-year age gap? It's so messed up." At first I chalked it up to a simple misunderstanding that a few people had after reading one too many BuzzFeed articles, but after seeing hundreds of these comments, I realized no, this is a full-blown problem. This fan theory about the 1937 film has spun so wildly out of control that it's now considered fact, when really, it's as much a falsehood as Tarzan being Elsa and Anna's brother. One viral post I attribute a lot of this confusion to is a popular tweet from December 2019, where a user claimed that Snow White was only 14 and Prince Florian was 31. The tweet was immensely popular, receiving over 1 million likes and spawning numerous other discussions about age gaps between the Disney princesses and their love interests. The tweet's source? 2 articles that also don't cite their reasoning. Looking back in the internet archives, I first began spotting pop culture articles that stated Snow White's age as 14 in the early 2010s, unsurprisingly, with no reasoning as to why. During this time period, there was a huge increase in adult interest in the Disney princess brand. Remember hipster Disney princesses? This led to a wide range of content being created about the characters. This ranged from which one you were based off of your Starbucks order, to girl-boss feminist think pieces about Disney princesses being negative role models that reinforced toxic ideas about femininity. Simple comparisons between the princesses became popular online trivia, and what could be an easier comparison than all of their ages? Unless, of course, you had absolutely no way of determining what those ages actually were. Aside from princesses like Ariel, Rapunzel, and Aurora, very few actually state their ages in their films directly, leaving most of the ages that you see posted online complete hearsay. In their films, there might be context clues that imply, keyword, their ages. Oh, they're about to be married or ascend the throne, yada yada yada. But that doesn't actually prove anything. They're fairy tales after all. We don't actually know what the legal system of Agrabah is. It's also to be noted that this ambiguity is purposeful. Disney wants the audience to connect with the characters, and having them be ageless in a sense accomplishes that. Now, I'm not saying there's no evidence pointing towards Snow White being younger than the other princesses. I would actually say there's a pretty high chance of her being in her early teens, but not enough to say it is fact. Compared to the rest of the Disney princesses, she's less curvy, and her facial features are significantly less sharp and defined than, say, Jasmine or Aurora, and this roundness is often synonymous with youth. However, this could easily be attributed to the art style in this film differing from the others, with the majority of characters in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs having softer features. During the development stage for the film, Snow White's character design was stated as being influenced by popular 1930s screen stars like Hedy Lamarr, as well as her voice actress Adriana Caselotti and dance model Marge Champion. Interestingly, all of these women were in their mid to late teens when the film began production. There were also obvious influences to Betty Boop, who was 16. They weren't trying to recreate Shirley Temple. However, there is one crucial piece of evidence that actually does somewhat confirm her age. In The Art of Walt Disney, a book by Christopher Finch that chronicled the artistic achievements and history of Walt Disney, Finch unearthed an old outline from the Snow White film dated October 22, 1934, which broke down the early cast of characters. Notably, Snow White is described as a, quote, Janet Gaynor type, 14 years old. Yup. That's the closest we've ever gotten to a direct confirmation of the 14 theory. Now keep in mind that this was an early concept for the character, so it's very possible that this changed over the course of making the film, as seen with the many iterations her character went through before it became the one we know today. And I'd say at the very least, she's now been aged up, as you can see with her character's design in Wreck-It Ralph. Also, I didn't realize that this wasn't common knowledge, but in 1930s Hollywood, tweens weren't getting married left and right. In fact, the legal age of consent in California was 18, even back then. So Disney definitely wouldn't have had Snow White marrying a near 40-year-old man if she was a child. It still would have been taboo. And it must be said, even if it's obvious, the age of her Brothers Grimm counterpart doesn't actually matter considering the film drifts from the source material quite a bit. Now that we have a rough idea of how old Snow White could theoretically be, let's talk about her prince, who I'm telling you right now is not 31, the most common number I've seen thrown around. The prince, who goes unnamed throughout the film, has very little screen time due to the fact that Walt Disney found it difficult to animate his original storyline, which would have involved being captured by and escaping from the evil queen. During early production, they expressed that they wanted his character to be active and dashing, a Douglas Fairbanks or Errol Flynn type. While both of the actors in question were significantly older than the inspirations for Snow White, the prince decidedly doesn't look much like either man. In fact, I'd call him outright boyish. And that's not just an artistic choice, considering the huntsman in the film still looks like a grown man even with his softer features. Now remember that outline from The Art of Walt Disney that said Snow White was 14? Well, guess what? The prince's age is stated as well, as 18. Obviously, there's still an issue when it comes to modern-day legality with that age gap, but it's still a hell of a lot better than 17 years. And honestly, there's enough problems in a story about a girl who gets kissed while she's unconscious without adding a ridiculous headcanon about pedophilia. So yes, I've found various forms of evidence towards these characters being a certain age, which is more than I can say about certain people. But even then, I'm not going to state any of it as fact until Disney themselves confirm it. And considering how little the ages of these characters actually matter to the story, I don't think it matters. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Bye!